Over the course of 13 years since its official release in 2011, Minecraft has had 22 distinct updates ranging from adding new mobs and items to completely overhauling world generation. With this in mind, it's evident that some updates stand out as the more superior, better quality updates, while the others, let's just say that they're kinda lacking. Keep in mind that this ranking is going to be solely based on my opinion, and that I'll be ranking every update in tiers, with F tier being the worst and S tier being the best. Also, I'll be recording some of the footage in this video as of update 1.21, which has all of the features of its previous updates. This makes it significantly easier to showcase high quality footage of the additions with each update. Also, I'll mainly be considering the bulk of every update, as opposed to ceaselessly yapping about all the nitty-bitty components and changes of each update. If I did yap about all the small minor features, this video would be like an hour long. So with all that in mind, let's just start the ranking off with F tier. Released on July 1st, 2013, the 1.6 horse update opens up the F tier as arguably the worst update in Minecraft history. This update added horses and all of its variants, 5 new blocks, 3 new status effects, leads, and name tags. And that is pretty much the bulk of the update. It's pretty freaking underwhelming if you ask me. Now there are smaller additions like a better chat system, though I'm not entirely sure how that really changes anything. I mean, I looked on the wiki and there really wasn't anything else that was monumental with this update. This update adds just as much to Minecraft as Black Widow does to the Avengers. In essence, this was a minuscule update that didn't really add anything and kind of felt like a rushed snapshot. Released on June 8th, 2016, the 1.10 Frostburn update continues the F tier as another update that I'd rather forget. Keep in mind that this was my very first major update experience as I first started playing Minecraft after the 1.9 update, so I was expecting a lot more from this update as a whole. However, I was completely let down as this update is almost as lackluster as the 1.6 update. Notable additions include strays, husks, magma blocks, nether wart blocks, bone blocks, red nether brick blocks, and the structure void block, which is the biggest tangible addition in this update as it plays a massive role in creative worlds back then. Oh yeah, I also forgot, polar bears were added because Yeb's wife liked them. The dude is an actual simp. Like bro, you can argue that this update is even worse than 1.6, but there is one main reason why I'd put this update over the 1.6 horse update, and that is the addition of the /teleport command, one of the most useful commands in Minecraft history, allowing you to teleport anywhere in the world by just pressing a few keys on a keyboard. This command has saved me and a bunch of other YouTubers hours of time since we just teleport anywhere we want. But aside from all of that, F tier is a perfectly reasonable spot for this update. Capping off the F tier, we have the 1.15 Buzzy Bees update released on December 10th, 2019. This update adds bees and all of the bee related blocks such as honey, a bunch of new command formats, new bee related advancements, new game rules, and loot tables. Oh, and iron golems now look like this when they're damaged and you can heal them with iron ingots. But the best addition to this update certainly has to go to the addition of Toggle Sprint. Toggle Sprint works how its name intends it to. It toggles your sprint on and off so that you just have to hold down your sprint key as opposed to having to hold down control or some other button. But why exactly is this update in F tier, you may be asking? Well, because it didn't really do anything monumental, kind of like updates 1.6 and 1.10. Aside from redstone engineers, there's not that many people who would focus on honey blocks and other bee related items, so as an update, I feel like it didn't really change anything for the majority of the player base. A lot of its changes are just flat out negligible in the grand scheme of things, thus deserving its placement in the F tier. Moving on to the D tier, these are updates that aren't horrible, but aren't exactly great for the most part, and I figured it would be best to start off with update 1.1, released on January 12th, 2012. This update added 20 new spawn eggs, 5 new biomes, the super flat world type, and 56 new languages, including Pirate Speak, Klingon, and Kenya. There were also some changes to basic gameplay, such as golden apples now costing golden nuggets instead of gold blocks, which I'm assuming was a very big deal back then. Like, could you imagine crafting regular ass golden apples with gold blocks? Like, who do I look like, Elon Musk? But aside from that, there's nothing really cool about this update. Spawn eggs are extremely useful along with the super flat world type, but there's really nothing more to this update. This was also the first major update since Minecraft's official release back in 2011, so you would certainly expect more from this update as a whole. The next update in D tier is going to be update 1.2, released on March 1st, 2012. It's another update that really wasn't horrible, but wasn't good either. We got chiseled stone bricks, redstone lamps, a new jungle wood type, jungle biomes, desert wells, mine shafts, bottle of enchanting, fire charges, iron golems, ocelots, and a new gameplay feature called zombie sieges, where dozens of zombies would spawn from my asshole and start attacking you. Much like update 1.1, this update should have added a little bit more in my opinion, and now that I think about it, I'm really curious about which update is actually better between updates 1.1 and 1.2, because there's such a narrow line between the two. And putting either update in F tier or D tier really wouldn't make a difference to the tier list whatsoever, but I personally say that D tier is a perfectly fine spot for update 1.2. Moving on to the C tier, these are average updates that didn't significantly change anything, but they weren't bad updates like in previous tiers. They're basically the bare minimum as to what a new player would expect for a Minecraft update. With this in mind, the 1.5 Redstone update released on March 13th, 2013 kicks off the C tier. As the name suggests, this update added and changed redstone related features. Some notable additions include activator rails, redstone blocks, daylight sensors, droppers, hoppers, whoppers, redstone comparators, trap chests, pressure plates, and nether quartz. Minecraft Realms was also added, but that's like a paid subscription, so it's not really that cool, you know? But aside from Realms, you could make an argument that this update should be B tier. A ton of these redstone components serve a massive purpose in pretty much every redstone build. But eventually when we do get to B tier, it would make a lot more sense why this update was in C tier in the first place. With the second entry in C tier, we have update 1.7, also known as the update that changed the world. Oh my god. Released on October 25th, 2013, 1.7 added a variety of new blocks, such as stained glass, which could be dyed into all 16 colors, 2 new wood types, fish, a bunch of new biomes, a bunch of new blocks, a bunch of flowers, a bunch of new commands, a bunch of new achievements, and a general change to world generation. At a first glance, this seems like a lot to add, but apart from a change in world generation with new biomes, the rest of the additions kinda seem like just decorative additions and not features that change or add to the gameplay at all. Yeah, I'm being very picky with this, but I never once said that 1.7 is a bad update at all. Remember, C tier is meant for updates that are average, maybe slightly above average depending on how you want to interpret this tier list. This update was just good, nothing more, nothing less. And the same can be said for the next entry in C tier, update 1.8, also known as the Bountiful Update, released on September 2nd, 2014. This update added these 3 useless blocks which clutter your inventory when strip mining, some new prismarine blocks and items, sponges, new food items, rabbits, endermites, guardians, and elder guardians, with the latter 2 spawning in the new ocean monument structure, and also we got new customizable world types. In addition, enchanting no longer takes 30 goddamn levels, instead only takes the reasonable 1 to 3 levels, and as such, anvils also received a balance change. Villagers are also more distinguished in this update as well. Likewise with update 1.5, update 1.8 could legitimately be in B tier, and I would not disagree at all, but because of how good the updates in B tier are compared to 1.8, the bar is a little bit higher for that tier. I guess you could say that update 1.8 is a high C tier at minimum. The next update in C tier is going to be the 1.11 Exploration Update, released on November 14th, 2016. Despite being called the Exploration Update, it didn't really enhance exploring at all. We got explorer maps and 1 new structure, that being the Woodland Mansion, which is also home to 3 new hostile mobs, the Vindicator, Evoker, and Vex. Totems of Undying were also added, which are really cool and are dropped from Evokers upon killing them. Shulker boxes are also added along with observers, though I myself was kind of surprised that observers were added in this update and not update 1.5. Another awesome change is that firework rockets can now be used to propel yourself in air and allow you to fly with the elytra. Much like update 1.5, you can genuinely make an argument that this update should be in B tier, and I would not disagree. But at minimum, update 1.11 is a high C tier, just like update 1.8. 1.12, also known as the World of Color update, was released on June 7th, 2017 and is the next entry in C tier. As the name suggests, this update added a bunch of new colorful blocks such as concrete and terracotta, but those are just some of the prettiest portions of this update. 15 new colors of beds were added along with parrots, which die if you feed them a cookie. In addition, there were new advancements which replace all the old achievements and are basically the same thing. But in my opinion, the coolest thing about this update is not any of the colorful banter, but actually the addition of the Illusioner. Now, the Illusioner is a mob that many people probably don't even know about, which makes a lot of sense. There is no direct implementation of the Illusioner in Minecraft even to this day. Despite the mob being over 7 years old, it has received no natural spawning occurrences, no spawn egg, no events, no nothing. The only way to spawn the Illusioner is with the /summon command. But after you do that and you take a good gander at the Illusioner mob and you fight it, you wonder how this mob is not directly implemented within the game. It is so freaking cool. A mob that duplicates itself and creates an illusion so that you don't know where the real one is. I mean, it's freaking awesome. And in my opinion, it should be added to raids entirely. I don't know why this guy isn't in raids. It would definitely amp up the difficulty, making raids a lot more challenging. All in all, this update is a solid high C tier. The final update to cap off C tier is going to be update 1.20, the Trails and Tales update released on June 7th, 2023. This update added 2 new wood variants, with them being bamboo and cherry, chiseled bookshelves, decorated pots, hanging signs, the sniffer and all of its plants related to it, camels, which pretty much everyone forgot about the moment they came out, a new cherry grove biome, trail ruins, new advancements, armor trims, and archaeology. Now, the reason for me ranking 1.20 as low as C tier and not any higher on the list, quite frankly, is because of the last reason that I mentioned, archaeology. Going into update 1.20, like before all the snapshots and previews and stuff, I had such massive hopes for archaeology, and I thought they were going to do so much with that concept, like revamp jungle pyramids and desert temples. Hell, maybe even give a purpose to desert wells. You know, stuff that you would expect from a typical update that's focused on archaeology, right? Wrong! No, this update did the exact opposite. Archaeology takes form in one of the most underwhelming structures in the entire game, that being the trail ruins. Even to this day, I have never found a single trail ruin legitimately in survival. Every single trail ruin I have ever encountered has been through cheats in creative mode. Like, dude, trail ruins just suck. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. I expected some Indiana Jones type shit where you go in this massive desert temple with a bunch of floors and traps and loot and stuff. But we didn't get that with archaeology, and quite frankly, that's the reason why I'm putting the update 1.20 in C tier. Now that we're done with C tier, let's move on to the B tier, updates that I would consider to be really good updates that added something significant or memorable. And a great way to start off B tier would be the 1.3 update, released on August 1st, 2012. This update added emeralds, ender chests, tripwire hooks, slabs, stairs, notch apples, desert villages, desert pyramids, jungle pyramids, adventure mode, villager trading, and a ton of extremely useful commands that make the lives of YouTubers much easier, such as /seed, /give, /time, and /game mode. At a first glance, this seems like an update that might deserve a C tier or a high C tier, but back then, villager trading was a very big deal. Even to this day, villager trading serves as arguably the most effective way to get maxed out armor and tools. As a matter of fact, speedruns back then utilized villager trading because cleric villagers, or I should say priest villagers as of 1.3, could trade for Eyes of Ender, essentially nullifying all purpose of going to the Nether either, unless you wanted potions or something. Oh yeah, boats are also really good now, and they don't break if they touch a 1mm pixel of a lily pad. Land worlds are also added in this update, which allows you to play with friends who are connected to the same network as you. All in all, this update is incredibly underrated, and I think B tier is a perfectly justifiable spot for it. The next update in B tier is going to be the 1.4 Spooky Scary update, released on October 25th, 2012. Personally, I think update 1.4 just barely edges out B tier. This update added command blocks, anvils, flower pots, walls, mob heads, potatoes, carrots, carrot on a stick, pumpkin pie, and potions of night vision and invisibility. This may not seem like much, right? Well, it's because I didn't mention the fact that the Wither boss was added in this update along with Wither skeletons, witches, witch huts, bats, and beacons, which can be crafted from 3 obsidian and 5 glass surrounding the newly added nether star, which drops from the new Wither boss. And much like in update 1.3, update 1.4 introduced a variety of new useful commands such as /difficulty, /spawn point, /clear, and /game rule. Considering the potential of command blocks these days and just the overall usefulness of anvils and beacons, I'd say B tier is a great spot for this update. The third update to make it to B tier is an update that many people found controversial the moment it came out, so I'll probably receive a little bit of flack for putting this update this high on this list. But that doesn't change my opinion that the 1.9 combat update is indeed a B tier update. Released on February 29th, 2016, the update is technically only 2 years old if you count by leap years, but that's a useless moot point. As its name suggests, this update completely overhauled Minecraft combat, switching from a spam-clicking PvP system to a timed attack system. Along with this, they added shields, made axes completely broken, tipped arrows, lingering potions, dual wielding, made eggs, snowballs, and fishing rods deal 0 knockback, and a bunch of other mechanics related to PvP. In addition, there was a new world generation for the End Dimension, adding new End Islands, new End features, and a new structure called the End City, which is home to the new Elytra. The Elytra is an endgame item that enabled players to glide in the air, and we also got igloos, which are basically free golden apples. Now when this update came out again, it left a lot of people disappointed, mainly because of the changes to PvP. People had gotten so accustomed to the 1.8 PvP mechanics where you spam click and CPS determines who wins fights, which as a whole I believe is completely ridiculous. I mean, a person with a $100 gaming mouse is most certainly gonna win against a guy with a cheap old office mice, but that's a topic for a completely different video if I do decide to make one. From my experience, 1.9 PvP isn't all that bad, and there's some mechanics that I actually do enjoy. All in all, this update was solid 8 years later, and I definitely think it deserves a B tier. The next update to grace the B tier is going to be 1.17, also known as the Caves and Cliffs Update Part 1. Released on June 8th, 2021, this update is sort of a precursor to 1.18, so I'm just going to explain all the basics of it. We got new ores, which are amethyst, which spawn in amethyst geodes, and copper, which was used to craft all the copper-related blocks. We got tuff, calcite, and deep slate, which are new blocks that generate in caves, and with those new caves, we got dripstone caves and the new lush caves biomes, which both look fabulous. Glow squids won the mob vote, which honestly suck in my opinion, and we also got goats and axolotls. Raw copper, raw gold, and raw iron were added, and due to the way that they work, means that fortune now works on these ores. In addition, tinted glass and spy glasses were added, which both require amethyst to craft, and along with all this stuff, we got a bunch of new advancements. Like I mentioned before, this update is really just the precursor to 1.18, and as such, the final update to go in B tier is the 1.18 Caves and Cliffs Update Part 2, released on November 30th, 2021. 1.18 was really the juicy component of the Caves and Cliffs update and completely overhauled overworld generation. Mountains went from this to this, and caves went from this to this. Just overall massive changes that admittedly couldn't be done without the additions in 1.17. We also got a new world height limit of y equals 320, a new world height low of y equals -64, and a new music disc, and a bunch of new biomes that also come with the new world generation. When it comes to updates 1.17 and 1.18, I really think that you have to rank them in the same tier since they both sort of feed off of each other as updates. Without the changes in 1.17, 1.18 might not be as good and vice versa. B tier is a perfect spot for both of these updates. And at long last, we're on to the A tier. These are updates that are extremely good and added something extremely memorable or game-changing to Minecraft. And a great way to start off A tier is with the 1.13 Aquatic update, released on July 18th, 2018. This update completely revamped Minecraft's oceans, adding a plethora of new oceanic biomes such as the frozen ocean and coral reef biomes. In addition to these new biomes, we received massive changes to the overall generation of the world's oceans. Ocean caves were added, which can occasionally go down to diamond level. In addition, ocean ruins were added along with coral reef patches, which add a ton of decorative life to the aquatic atmosphere. We also got new mobs such as dolphins, drowned turtles, fish, pufferfish, and the controversial phantom mob. Buried treasure chests and shipwrecks were also added, which are a great way to acquire loot in the early game. Some other useful items added to the game include turtle shells, which can be crafted from scutes, which can be obtained from turtles, conduits, which can be obtained from surrounding the new Heart of the Sea item with 8 nautilus shells, tridents, the newest weapon that's extremely rare and can only be obtained from killing a drown that naturally spawns with it, and the potion of the turtle master, which can be brewed using the previously mentioned turtle shell. 4 new enchantments were added that are all exclusive to the trident. These enchantments are Riptide, Impaling, Channeling, and Loyalty. Oh, and I also can't forget the fact that swimming was also added in this update, allowing players to move faster underwater. Now that I've described a lot of the big changes to this update, it should make at least a little bit of sense why this update is placed in A tier in the first place. This update was massive and completely overhauled Minecraft's oceans. A tier is perfectly deserved. The next update to grace the A tier is update 1.14, also known as the Village and Pillage update, and was released on April 23rd, 2019. Much like how update 1.13 completely revamped oceans, this update completely revamped villages, adding new varieties of villagers, campfires, barrels for storage, lanterns, and a bunch of other decoration blocks. We also got new signs, slabs, and walls for building. Now, I did say that we got new types of villagers, so I might as well rant about all of the villager types that are in this update. Armorers, butchers, cartographers, clerics, farmers, fishermen, fletchers, leatherworkers, librarians, masons, nitwits, shepherds, toolsmiths, and weaponsmiths. All of these villagers can be found near their respective job site blocks, and here is a list of all of those blocks. Blast furnaces, which can be used to smelt ores faster, smokers, which can be used to cook food faster, cartography tables, which can be used to design maps, brewing stands, which are used to brew potions, composters, which can be used to obtain bone meal, barrels, which can be used for storage, fletching tables, which have no use to this day, cauldrons, which also have no use unless you're in Bedrock Edition, lecterns, which can be used to place books on, stone cutters, which can be used to cut stone, looms, which can be used to apply banner patterns, smithing tables, which today can be used to obtain netherite armor and apply armor trims, and the grindstone, which can be used to disenchant your items. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail of all of the traits that each villager gives, because that would certainly be too much. I've already described a big portion of the additions to villages, but the thing is, I still kind of have more to talk about. Snow villages were added along with bamboo forests. With these additions came 5 new friendly mobs, these being the cat, fox, panda, wandering trader, and the trader llama. Leather horse armor was also added in this update, which can be dyed into 12,326,391 different colors. Another new weapon was added in this update, that being the crossbow, and with it came 3 new enchantments: piercing, multi-shot, and quick charge. Sussy stew was also added, giving the player random effects upon being consumed. Now, I know I've been yapping about this update for a very long time already, but I still have one big feature to discuss: raids. Raids are in-game events where hostile mobs called illagers, which include the new pillagers and ravager mobs, spawn and try to unalive villagers. By the way, raids will only start if there's at least one alive villager nearby. Upon achieving victory in the raid, you will be rewarded with the new Hero of the Village effect, which decreases villager trade prices, thus simulating deflation. Okay, I've pretty much explained the bulk of this update. Update 1.14 achieves A tier, and it doesn't need any further explanation. The third update to make A tier is going to be the 1.19 Wild update, released on June 7th, 2022. Now, the initial details surrounding the vast majority of content regarding 1.19 were actually released far earlier than 2022, but because of the pandemic, this update, much like 1.17 and 1.18, was kinda delayed. But all of that doesn't really matter today because this update is absolutely massive. Let's start off with the Deep Dark biome. This new spooky biome is home to the Warden, the most recent boss mob. The Warden is a freak of nature, boasting an unbelievable 250 hearts and is the strongest mob in the game's history. They spawn if you trigger the new Skulk Shrieker 3 times. Also, no other mobs can spawn in the Deep Dark biome. Aside from all of that, there is also a new massive structure called the Ancient City, which is one of the most exhilarating structures to raid in Minecraft, as it is also inhabited by wardens. I remember the first time raiding an Ancient City with my friends, and that shit was low-key frightening. Getting the new darkness effect from the warden and being chased by the guy like how Chris Tyson chases miners was a truly horrifying experience. The loot table of the structure is also really good, as you can acquire notch apples, the new recovery compass, disc fragments for the new disc 5, and the new swift sneak enchantment book, which allows you to move faster while sneaking. Also, there's this giant structure in the center of the ancient city, which everyone speculates to be a portal to the upcoming Deep Dark dimension, though we don't know when Mojang is going to release that. Aside from all of that, we also got some new mobs, as I mentioned before, the Warden, but we also got allays, frogs, and tadpoles, which tadpoles evolve into the frog. Frogs can spawn in the new mangrove swamp biome and can somehow eat magma cubes, though I don't understand how that even works. In the mangrove swamp biome, we also got mud and a new wood type. Moving on, we also received some very interesting commands such as the /place command, which allows you to literally summon a structure out of my asshole. New advancements were also added, which is awesome. All in all, this update was just really good. The final addition to the A tier is update 1.21, the Tricky Trials update, and the most recent update released on June 13th, 2024. This update primarily focused on the new trial chamber structure, another colossal addition to the game. The trial chambers are like dungeons that spawn waves of mobs from the new trial spawner. Mobs that can spawn include zombies, baby zombies, husks, baby husks, every variation of a slime, spiders, cave spiders, silverfish, skeletons, strays, the new bogged mob whose name rhymes with the word Moog, and the new breeze mob. Upon unaliving the breeze, it will drop a breeze rod, which combined with the new heavy core, an item that can be acquired from opening the new ominous vault with an ominous trial key, can be used to craft the mace. The mace is an extremely strong weapon capable of one-shotting even the warden. With the mace came a few new enchantments such as density, breach, and windburst. This update also gave us 4 new effects, though I'm not entirely sure how useful they actually are. We also got the crafter and a bunch of variations of tough and copper. In addition, we received the wind charge, which is my favorite item in the entire game even to this day. As a whole, I really enjoy the trial chambers a lot and all the additions they gave, especially in multiplayer. And now, opening up the S tier, these are the best of the best updates, so might as well start off with release 1.0, the update that started it all. Released on November 18th, 2021, it marked the official release of Minecraft to the general public. Now you might be wondering, how the frick is release 1.0 so much higher on the list than the rest of the early updates like 1.1 or 1.2 for example? Well, let me list out some of the significant additions to Minecraft because of this update. You need to buckle up your seatbelts and get ready because this roller coaster is absolutely freaking insane. Brewing stands, which are used to brew new potions. Villages, which are inhabited by villagers. The entire enchantment catalog, which can be obtained from the new enchantment table. Mushroom islands, which are inhabited by mushrooms, baby animals, the end dimension, the ender dragon boss fight, snow golems, magma cubes, blazes, 9 new music discs, and hardcore mode. Holy shit, that was a ton. And by the way, that isn't even everything, which is freaking bonkers. You can even argue that this was the most impactful update of all time simply because of the magnitude of shit that was added. And even if you didn't, A tier, or maybe not even A tier, I think S tier is still a minimum. This update was incredible, which can also be said for our final entry on this list. 1.16, the Nether update, released on June 23rd, 2020, is the last entry on this list, and is arguably the most significant update in Minecraft history. As its name suggests, this update updated the Nether, and you probably want to buckle up your seatbelts one more time, because this is going to be an absolute roller coaster of additions coming with this update as well. A completely new armor set that's stronger than Diamond, a completely new set of weapons and tools that are also stronger than their Diamond counterparts, a complete overhaul in Nether world generation, 4 new Nether biomes, a massive brand new structure with 4 variants, an excellent new bartering system in the Nether, a bunch of new blocks, respawn anchors, lodestones, the best music disc to ever exist in my opinion, 2 new Nether exclusive ores, striders, hoglins, zoglins, piglins, baby piglins, piglin brutes, and that is like 60 to 70% of the update. They went the whole 9 yards when it came to the Nether update, and quite frankly, I don't think we will ever get another update like this ever again. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it this far, you deserve a pat on the back for listening to me yap for like 25 plus minutes. Please like and subscribe and comment down below what model calculator you have.